Hello everybody, this is Con. I'm now driving the second generation Mazda CX-5. This is the 2.2 diesel front wheel drive model. It is the second highest model in the hierarchy. Okay, so range topping is the 2.2 liter diesel all-wheel drive model. Below this we have the 2.5 liter petrol front wheel drive, and also the 2 liter petrol front wheel drive models in 2 different grades. Okay, so without further ado, let's adjourn outside for an exterior walk around. Now, the previous gen Mazda CX-5 was quite a success, so the shape of the CX-5 is not new to us. It's nothing new to us. It's very familiar to us now, and building on the previous model's success, Mazda naturally did not want to mess about the formula so much. So the overall shape of this car is still very recognizable from the predecessor. Okay, so when they know that they're not doing a clean slate approach, what Mazda did was they put a lot of attention to thoroughly refine the details. Okay, so you look at the headlamps. Now these headlamps are slimmer units than the predecessor model, so they look sleeker and and at the same time more sophisticated. This is the diesel model, so it gets LED headlamps, whereas the base petrol model, okay, makes do with halogen headlights. Right now, look at the grille. There's a lot going on in this grille. You notice this. If I go closer, you see that all these are actually very little like tri-pointed shapes that line across, that spread across the grille to create like a very sporty looking mesh effect. But my favorite design touch is how the Mazda logo looks as if it's it's just zooming out of the grille. It's just like popping out of the grille. You see, because it has this casing that pushes it out, that really makes the Mazda logo stand out in the grille. Yeah, so it's a very, very nice effect. And as you can see, this gap here between these two panels are deliberately left rather big. Okay, so to further emphasize the overall aggression of the design details. Okay, now come to the side. Now look at these rims. Okay, I'm going to give you a few seconds to hazard a guess how big these rims are. Okay, I'm going to step back. How big do you think these rims are? 17? 18? No, the answer is these are 19-inch wheels. Okay, just think about it. These are 19-inch wheels in this mid-size SUV, and they look small. They look very, very small. I remember when the first CX-5 came out, right? At that time, when it had 19-inch wheels, that was big news, because at that point in time, okay, this is something that pointed out to me by my friend Danny Tan from paultan.org. He pointed out that the CX-5 with 19-inch wheels actually was giving people with CRV budgets, okay, the wheel size that were previously reserved for cars like the Porsche Cayenne. So it naturally looks very aggressive, okay, but just be mindful of of tire replacement costs. So yeah, I mean, this current one, even with 19-inch wheels, right, look rather small. The base models have 17 inches, so they look even smaller. I would imagine that this body shape, okay, was designed with 21-inch wheels in mind. Okay, Mazda has this curious habit of jumping 2 inches with their wheel sizes. So this one has 19s. The lower spec models have 17s. The next progression up will probably be 21. Okay, now so look at the side. Okay, this is this one. You see, it has a very nice character line running down here. Okay, and then another one that goes up here. So it is the latest interpretation of Mazda's Kodo sculpture design. It's a very pleasant looking shape, and the CX-5 continues to be one of the better looking SUVs, if not the best looking SUV in the segment. Of course, this is all very, very subjective, right? So the tail end of the car, now this is something where this is one angle of the car which I think the predecessor probably looks better. Like the headlights, the taillights are made slimmer, but I think you look at the size of the tail lights, right? Relative to the whole back, right? Okay, the tail lights now occupy very, very small real estate. So yeah, it is the lights look a bit too small for the car for my tastes, but overall, styling wise, Mazda once again nails it with the CX-5. Definitely, to me, this is one of the more handsome looking SUVs in the price range. Right, so let's look inside the boot. Okay, so looking in here, not too badly sized boot. You can fit a large pram, and yeah. So underneath here, this is the spare tire well. Okay, it's a space saver type of spare tire. Okay, and so this carpet is an extra provided locally by Burmas. And okay, so here's an umbrella here to illustrate the size lah. Okay, so the seats, okay, the rear, if you need more cargo room, the rear seats fold, have a 40-20-40 split fold. Allow me to point out. So this one, okay, releases the center. This one releases the one on the left, and one more here. This one releases the side on the right. Okay, so that the one on the left is being held by a seat belt, but that's not a problem. You just ease it down, and what you get here is a relatively seamless, if not entirely flat loading floor, useful enough to transport small items. Now this is the tonneau cover. Okay, you can actually pull this up to connect with the tailgate. Okay, so by right, if you deploy the tonneau cover, okay, you have to put it up like this. So the tonneau cover has these two hooks here that allow it to be pulled up as you open the tailgate. So it's very convenient. Okay, of course you can choose to remove the tonneau cover. It is a detachable type of tonneau cover. Okay, so you can just choose to remove this and stow it away somewhere. Okay, though quite where to stow it does not appear to be clear. Alright, so let's step inside. Okay, I'm gonna bring this up. Come up here. Alright, and this is decently spacious accommodations. I've got decent amount of headroom and leg room. The thigh support, okay, the seat cushions, okay, it has this wave shape, so anybody seated here in the middle, okay, will find themselves lacking in thigh support because the seat cushion stops here. Okay, whereas over here the seat cushion actually reaches all the way to your knee. Okay, all the way to the underside of your knee. But I feel that it could have sloped down a little more on safety. So this the ISOFIX mounts are here. So I appreciate that there are these guide holes here that that very clearly indicate to me where are the ISOFIX mounts, so that I can very easily locate them and just slide the child seat in. The 3-point seat belt for the middle passenger comes out from the seat, from inside the seat, so you don't have to pull it down from the you don't have to pull it down from the roof as in some SUVs. Okay, so this one, here's the center armrest. This is a decent center armrest. Okay, you've got two cup holders. You've got this slot, I think that's good enough to fit a pen, and you've got a lidded box. And inside, now this is brilliant. So you've got two USB ports inside here. This is obviously only big. This space is obviously big enough only for a phone, but well, this is a very limited space anyway. So this part of it, very, very good packaging by Mazda. Okay, this part here, nothing much going on. Just a couple of aircon blowers. It may be seated maybe a bit low, but well, at least they're aircon blowers, because Bobby does not agree with me, but my opinion is that in our kind of climate, I want rear aircon vents, whether or not this is a 5 or 7 seater. And here's the door pocket. It's a very shallow door pocket, so you can drop like a couple of small items. So let's step inside. Open the doors. We start to look at the door cut first lah. So this is a small little pocket here, and then these two are also door pockets, but it's very shallow. So this space is obviously to put bottles, but I can't imagine them holding it a very big bottle or any large items of consequence. So you can see, okay, electric seat adjustment, okay, with lumbar support. And of course, look at these panels here. You can see this is the lane keep and lane departure assist. This is the engine auto start stop. Right. So step inside. I'm gonna start the engine. Sorry that I'm wasting a bit of fuel, but it's rather hot. Okay, so let's look at the instrument cluster. So this is if you have come from the previous gen CX-5 or indeed any existing Mazda model, this is a very familiar looking center instrument cluster. Mazda did not change much, okay, with regards to this instrument cluster. So, but it has good clarity, and at the same time, the material finishing is all very nice. It has a bit of a old school look. This part of it is a screen, so you can cycle through various displays. Coming over here. So let's look at the infotainment system. Okay, so you can access the various features by touch, or you can use this rotary knob together with the various accompanying shortcut keys. You can see here the cabin finishing. Okay, the materials that Mazda used look and feel very properly premium. This stitching here also looks. This look appears genuine, okay, and appear to be of very high grade. You touch these plastics, you know, these plastics all feel very pleasant to the touch. Okay, here, right here, and okay, if you go further down, okay, these are of course harder grade plastics, but they do not feel cheap. Okay, on the utility aspect of the center console, this is a very deep tray, so you can dump in quite a few items in here. Okay, you can dump in your phone, your smart tag, your keys, and all that. So this is very deep. Okay, and you have a 12-volt socket here to power your devices. Okay, no USB, just a 12-volt socket. Yeah, so these two cup holders, nothing much you can put there. Yeah, so this is a removable tray, and inside this center console box, okay, it's a decently deep center console box. You can drop you can put some sizable items here. There are two USB ports here and another 12-volt socket here. So yeah, plenty of charging options here, because remember there are two USB sockets here and there's a further two behind. Okay, now let's look at the glove box. Decently sized glove box. Climate control switch gear. Okay, this is all it's old school. Okay, these are old school controls by today's standards, but make no mistake, the quality, okay, the finishing of all these knobs, okay, and the tactile feel exerted by these buttons, they exert a feel of quality. It gives you the impression that Mazda invested you know, no small amount, okay, in the fit and finishing of these cars, that give the cabin a kind of atmosphere that matches up to properly premium vehicles. So yeah, I mean, this cabin overall, in terms of practicality, it loses out to the CR-V. Every car in this segment will lose out to the CR-V where practicality is concerned. But if you are talking about, you know, the selection of materials, the cabin fit and finish, the overall ambience of the cabin, right? The CX-5 cabin really is right up there with the Germans, you know, in the way it makes you feel how expensive of a surrounding you are. So the build quality of inside is very admirable. Yeah, it convincingly feels premium. Okay, so that out of the way, let's hit the road lah. Huh? Now the CX-5, the original CX-5, okay, when I first tested it back during its debut in 2010, it was one of the first SUVs that did not feel out of sorts when you drive the front wheel drive variant. In fact, it was probably one of the first, in fact many of my friends who tested the car say they preferred the handling and the character of the front wheel drive model because it's more agile and all that. But yeah, so Mazda was one of the first that really gave us a front wheel driven SUV that does not drive too badly, because last time it was a time where car makers were just beginning to accept, the market also was just beginning to accept front wheel drive SUVs. SUVs at that time, those days, were still primarily all wheel drive. Okay, and how they develop the front wheel drive variant, it often feels as if okay, we give you the four wheel drive variant, we just take out the rear differential, that's it, end of story, nothing else. So the CX-5 was one of the first SUVs, right, that felt like it was developed right from the onset with front wheel drive in mind, and that made a difference in the way it drives and feels. Okay, because it felt sorted out, it felt the dynamic package felt complete. Now of course, so now today, okay, now in the day of the second generation CX-5, most SUVs that hit the road today are two-wheel drive. Honda, for example, now sells the majority of the CR-V in two-wheel drive configuration, and many SUV models out there don't even bother to offer you the option of all-wheel drive anymore, because people just are not bothered by it. I mean, yes, there are the benefits of all-wheel drive. I mean, in giving the car better better stability in the wet. But by and large, front-wheel drive not only these days have become good enough dynamically, but there's also the fact of lower running costs, because front-wheel drive naturally gives you better consumption. It gives you better straight line performance, and not only that, you have less components to service and fix, because your all-wheel drive system, you will need to change. You will have an extra set of fluids to change. You will have an extra set of bearings and bushes to wear out. So with that all deleted, you will face less maintenance costs in the long run. But where the CX-5 diesel is concerned, my recommendation is go for the all-wheel drive model. Predecessor model, I had a chance to drive the front-wheel drive version of the CX-5 diesel, and that car kind of felt scary. I mean, in dry weather, right, it handled itself well. It behaved very, very well. It was very nice to drive. But when the weather was wet, 420 Newton meters really overcame the traction of the front wheels very, very easily, ESC or not. Yeah. So I mean, my take on it is, for the CX-5, okay, the petrol models come standard with front wheel drive, but that's okay, because the petrol models, okay, don't forget, they are naturally aspirated petrol engines. Their torque curve builds up linearly. Okay, it doesn't suddenly jab you with a 420 Newton meter punch, but this one does. It does feel at times where it could use the help of the two rear wheels to take up part of the burden of traction. So my recommendation is this: if you are looking at the CX-5, either pick the petrol models or go for the diesel all-wheel drive. Okay, now, but what about the CX-5 in a whole as a product? Now, driving, now still coming back to the diesel engine, the CX-5, the Mazda Skyactiv diesel engine, okay, it does not pack the kind of brutal punch that you would find in, say, a BMW 20D diesel. Okay, the build-up in torque in this diesel engine, it feels is far more linear. Okay, the engine also revs far smoother than you typically expect of a diesel engine. Okay, diesel engines have very, very good torque, but somehow or other they are still not as smooth revving or as refined as a petrol engine. The Mazda Skyactiv diesel, quite simply, right, where diesel engines are concerned, it is one of the most petrol-like diesel engines that I've driven. But the downside is that when it comes to fuel consumption, the Mazda diesel seems to, in general, okay, I'm not talking about this car in specific, I'm talking about in general, okay, based on our experience driving the previous gen CX-5 diesel as well as the Mazda 6 diesel. It is not as economical as a BMW 20D diesel. In fact, Bobby shared with me that there was one particular trip that the Evo team made before I came on board. They took the CX-5 diesel and the Passat 1.8 TSI, okay, on a highway journey, and they were surprised to find that it was the Passat that turned out to be more fuel efficient. Okay, now we all know Volkswagen engines are genuinely very, very frugal. Okay, Dieselgate or TSG-gate, why not? But the Volkswagen engines are genuinely frugal. So we were not surprised that the Passat was frugal. We were just surprised that the Mazda 6 diesel was not as frugal. Okay, even though it is still more economical than most petrol engines lah. So the Skyactiv D, okay, trades off a bit of its of the inherent fuel economy benefits of a diesel engine, but make no mistake, it is still a very, very economical engine. You know, when you compare it against a petrol engine, it's just not as economical as you would expect of a diesel engine. The Mazda Skyactiv D trades away that quality in exchange for a more pleasant, more pleasant revving characteristics, a more smoother behavior. It feels almost petrol-like. Okay, now the dynamics of this car, the handling dynamics of this car, yeah, it handles confidently. It handles confidently when the weather is dry, on dry tarmac. The CX-5 diesel handles very, very confidently. It manages body roll well. It does. The car is stable under inputs, and the steering also is pleasantly, rich with feedback, and it feels well. The weighting of the steering also feels very, very well calibrated. So definitely, when you're talking about an SUV with driving appeal, the CX-5 is right up there at the top or thereabouts in the list, no question. The ride comfort also is very, very good. I mean, this car runs on 19-inch tires, but as you noticed earlier on in the clip, the tires also have very, very high profiles, very thick sidewalls, so it has a very pliant feel to it, but which is what really matters in the real world, out in the open road, because these cars will be used primarily by family owners, and when you are driving your family, you want your family to feel relaxed and to feel comfortable in it. So a comfortable setup makes a whole lot of sense in this segment. And the CX-5 is not only comfortable, it also handles very, very assuredly. So that's the good news. Yeah. So overall, the first generation CX-5 was already a very accomplished, very 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 sought after SUV. Okay, it was a very popular model in its run, and this replacement model really came earlier than we would have expected. And full credit to Mazda for being on the case early, and they have no doubts produced a replacement model that definitely improves upon the qualities of the predecessor. So definitely the CX-5 continues to be a very highly recommended choice when you're looking for an SUV at this price range. Okay, of course, the only advice is choose your variants wisely. If you I would really suggest that you either go all out for the diesel all-wheel drive, or take a step down and go for one of the petrol front-wheel drive models. Okay, relative to its rivals, the Volkswagen Tiguan offers a similar level of driving appeal. The CR-V definitely is the more practical alternative. The only SUV in the segment that I would say is a more stylish, a better looking alternative, okay, a more handsome looking alternative than the CX-5 is probably the Peugeot 3008. But it's a very handsome looking from the outside, and also inside, right, the cabin it looks more expensive, more outlandish than the CX-5. So if you're looking for a car that really, you know, is an expression of styling, the 3008 is it. But the underpinnings of the 3008 is it has a rear torsion beam, and for some perhaps that's not a big deal, but for me, no. So yeah, the CX-5 definitely a very, very good all-rounder and highly recommended choice. Okay, so what do you think? Okay, so drop me a line in the comment section. Of course, we also have a second opinion. Bobby also has recorded a video of this car, so it depends on whether who has the time to edit our videos up and put up first. Yeah, so of course, as soon as Bobby's video is up, I'll have the link added to the description section. Okay, so yeah, so until our next video, thanks for watching. Bye for now.